So the big green packet is what you should have out ready to go in a second here. Each day we're going to take it chapter by chapter. We're going to review the things that you need to know. I wanted to show you something, so flip your page and open it up. These right here, if you look at them, you see this number. That means that on the homework that you're going to have, or you're going to probably finish it in class, that's the number it applies to. So this question, if you needed help with number 26 on the packet I'm going to give you, it would apply to this question. I kind of set up very nicely for you. If you needed help, you were able to refer to the green packet and say that one applies to number 26 on the final exam. This applies to number 27 on the final exam. Okay? No. Nope.
Only our interactive notebook.
Only your interactive notebook. Yes.
Can we just copy down this whole entire packet into an
If you copy everything down, that's your choice. You can't cut and paste it, but you can copy it.
So you can't cut these
Nope.
questions out and put them in?
That's not how it works. Okay, but if you write it down, then you're actually learning something by writing it down instead of just copying and pasting it. Okay? All right, let's do this. So, chapter 4, this is going back to quadratics. That was that U shape. Write the function in intercept form for the graph below. So, intercept form, I'm going to quickly write out, is, draw a little underline here. This is intercept form. And I'm going to put a lot of notes on these just because I want to make sure that you're understanding where everything is coming from. The notes are very short. They're not even notes. The reviews are very short for each chapter because not every single topic that you've learned in chapter 4 is on the exam because that would be crazy. Okay, that's intercept form. Now, your intercepts are your x-intercepts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to label it this way. What is my first root or my first intercept? What number is that? Just 2? Negative 2. What about this second one? 1. Very good. So look, that's my R1 and that's my R2. If you know intercept form, or you should have at least the formula in your interactive notebook, you're able to put that in to the formula. A, we don't know. We just know it's positive, so I'm just going to leave it alone. And look, here I go. I'm going to put it in the negative 2 for R1. Hold on. I'm going to put in the negative 2, and I'm going to put in the positive 1. Now, if you notice, something happens. And this is the most common mistake, especially in the past midterm and the other exams that we've taken. A lot of you will just put x minus 2 and x plus 1, but the formula already has a negative in it. So what happens to the x minus a negative 2?
The signs change.
Yeah, the signs change. So my final answer, it'll let me write for me here. Come on. Hold on. There we go. Is equal to x plus 2 and x minus 1. Okay, that is my final answer. Again, you could have just jumped all the way to the end. You could have known that no matter what, it's the opposite inside the parentheses. You've been working with that a lot lately. But if you didn't, now you have something to refer to on those questions. Now this next one, a lot of you got wrong on the midterm. And I'm bringing it back for 2 reasons. Because there's an easier way to do it if you have multiple choice. It says, what is the vertex of this function? Get out your graphing calculator. If you cannot remember what A, B, and C is for this formula, which I will give you on the final, this will be exactly the way it's set up. Put it in the graphing calculator. Here we go. And I'm actually going to put a little note here. Graphing calculator is probably the easiest way to find the vertex if you know how to use it. So go to y equals. And go ahead and type it in. I have 3x squared. And what else we got? Minus 6x. Plus 5. Yep. And then just press graph.
Oh.
Please let me know if you're not getting this so that I can help you right now. Because this could be an easy answer on your exam if you know how to put in the graphing calculator. your window is weird. That's why. Anyone else? You got it? Ooh, oh my god. All right. Did you get it? This is off.
It said,
Yeah, you got a little truck.
so,
Minus
it's not funny, alright?
I got a big truck.
All right. What is a vertex when you look at this? What is it?
Wait, 6 inches?
What is a vertex?
1, 2.
1, 2. That's it. That's your answer if it was multiple choice. Do you see how easy it could be if you just, when in doubt, and I'm going to say this a million times for the next week, when in doubt, put in your calculator. When it comes to multiple choice, and I'm not requiring you to show me the work. This is a final. You don't get partial credit. It doesn't work like that. But when in doubt, put in the calculator. Yes.
I don't like that because I got -1.
You got -1 when you plugged it into the formula. Is that what you're saying?
No. And I got -6 divided by 6.
So I had
Because
1.
of the-
I'm going to graph that out just so you have it. And I'm going to put that this is the vertex. So when you plug it in, you got to be careful because it's already negative. So if you were to go this route, there's 2 routes to go, and I'll put this one down too for you guys. If you were to go this route, you have the opposite of B. So what's the opposite of B?
Positive 6.
A positive 6. So I have opposite of B, which is 6, all over 2 times R3. And that gets me 1. Opposite of B. Or negative and a negative make a positive, either way.
Okay.
It's okay. So if you got stuck, if you were to plug it into the formula, you could do it this way too. And you can plug it in. 90% of the time, once you find X, your
But the
answer is
A
already
not
chosen.
opposite.
A is not opposite. No matter what, it really doesn't matter as long as you have the negative here, because if you would have put the -6 here, it would have canceled out.
So that negative sign only applies to numerator.
It applies to everything. So even if you did this, look, if you actually wrote it out, put that in your graph, put that in your calculator or in your head. I have -1 times -6, which is +6. Technically, that negative out in front means -1. Good question. Okay, so again, use this time to study with me. I know it's not the funnest thing on the planet, but this could be your study time right now.
What if it was positive 6, not negative 6?
If it was +6, then you would have you would have -6 on the top, or you would have. So don't write this down. You would -6 over 2 times 3. If either way, and we'll get to another problem just like that. And actually, on the homework, you're gonna have one just like that.
Oh, homers.
It's like you don't listen to what I say. Okay. Now again, here's another situation where you can either remember the math I taught you, or you can just put it into your graphing calculator. A lot of you have become experts at the graphing calculator, and that has made me so happy because last year they struggled with the graphing calculator for some reason. They could not figure out how to work it. I highly recommend, if you don't remember what this looks like, if you can't tell me that this is a vertex, from here you should be able to tell me technically from what I taught you earlier this year that that's the vertex form. And is it going to concave up or concave down?
Concave down.
It's going to concave down because of this negative. Now I'm going to prove it to you in the graphing calculator, but if you forgot, make sure you put it in the graphing calculator. So this is concave down. And does anyone remember what the vertex is going to be?
2.
The 2 is, yep, is the y value. What's the x value of the vertex? What's the other number that's pointing to?
5.
Yes, 5. Now, if you're like, you say, well, I will never remember that. That is way too difficult. Then you're going to need to be able to put that into the graphing calculator. So pull out your graphing calculator and click y equals. Here we go. Let's try it again. Please type this in with me. Please don't sit there like a lump on a log, because you're gonna you're gonna really be upset with yourself that you didn't do it with me when I asked you to, and the final exam comes about. So I have -3 parentheses x minus 5 plus 2. I'll leave it up there for a second to make sure that you got that. Now careful, this is a -3. Sometimes if it ever says syntax error, just press go to and it'll tell you where the error is. Press graph and look at what we get. Oh, I messed up, didn't I?
Yeah.
I forgot the squared, didn't I? Right here. So try again with me. I forgot the squared. That's what happens when I don't use a key.
It's -5 and 2.
Plus 2. So check, go to y equals again and fix that. That was my fault. Oh, sorry. Just put all that stuff on there. Now
Wait,
press
hold on,
graph.
hold
Oh, sorry. I'm going back.
Plus 2, right?
Yes.
On
Now-
the graph.
Yep. Now look. Isn't what we just said valid? And this is why what I taught you works out. It's proving to you on this technology device here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 2. That's your vertex. 5, 2. It isn't it concave down. So let's just sketch that out just so we have it. Now I'm just showing you both ways so that you can use that. So 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Up 2 is somewhere around here. And you guys told me it was concave down, and the calculator proved it. So it's kind of cool how the things I taught you actually is valid. Now all it says is sketch a graph, so we're done. Okay, so maybe you might have to choose which graph applies to it, and that's it. But that would be your answer there. 2 ways. Know it because of what I taught you about the vertex form, or plug it in your calculator. My recommendation, plug in the calculator. Okay, the more you get used to your calculator, the better. Or maybe give it a try and make sure that it's right using the graphing calculator. It's only 34 questions. You can spend a lot of time on each question by checking your answers. Almost all of them can be answered through calculator. Questions on that one? Yeah, that's kind of what the question was asking, yeah. I want you to sketch that graph. Last part here on number 4. Given a quadratic function with a negative leading coefficient, what does that mean when I tell you there's a negative leading coefficient?
I think it means that the right arrow goes down.
The right arrow and the left arrow, they both go down, right? So it's concave.
Concave down.
There you go. That's what it means to have a negative leading coefficient. Leading coefficient just means the number all the way out in the front next to the equal sign. Now the vertex is just the point that if you fold it in half, it would be symmetric. So let's go ahead and plot that. So I have -3, 1, 2, 3, up 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 is about right here. And you told me it's concave down. So I'm just going to draw it down. You don't have to tell me exactly. You don't have to do it exactly like that. There's no way to put this in the calculator for this one, because I don't give you a function. You have to actually know some stuff here. That's it. Oh, see the range. So I'm going to use a highlighter, so we get a highlighter out. No, I was up all night coughing, so I apologize. Just give me a second. Okay, the range. Is that left to right, or is that top to bottom?
Down to the bottom.
Very good. It is top to bottom. And I'm going to put that also here just so a note for yourself. Sorry, it's bottom to top. My bad. Now, because it's bottom to top, I'm only going to put those infinity symbols on the bottom and the top to help me remember that I'm just using the bottom and the top. Because sometimes when we write all of them, it can get confusing. Now, here we go with the range. I'm starting at negative infinity, and where do I stop?
Oh, that's not.
7.
7. Very good. Look, I want you to label that and color that. I'm going from negative infinity to a positive 7. And I'm including 7 is my final answer, because that's what the range is. That means that, remember when I stood on the desk? That's what range is. Where does my feet start, or where do I end? Okay? If we're talking about range with my height right now, I stop at 5.75 because I'm 5 3/4. Okay? So I would stop there because I don't exist up here. in this world where all of you stand because you're all so tall. Okay, I don't exist up here. I stop here at 5, 3 3/4. From 0 to 5, 3 3/4. Okay, next part. The function graph below has an absolute min or max.
Man,
Max.
man, I think.
Wait. Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
I was thought you were on 4 still.
No, we're good. Yeah, there would be a max for number 4. It's kind of a good observation there. But this is a minimum.
Wait.
And that means that there is no point lower than this point right here on the graph. Okay, what is this y? What is this ordered pair? What's the vertex? 3, 1. Look at how I set this up for you so that you can remember. What is the y value of your vertex? 1. And what's the x? 3. So you have a minimum value of 3. Of 1 at 3. Remember, the x is like your location. Where was your min value at? It was at year 1. That's when I made the least amount of money.
Well, your X is at 3 and the Y is at 1.
You're right. But your min value is at 1. That means it's the lowest
Yeah.
amount. Okay. Maybe just add a little side note for yourself. That this will always have a min. And this will always have a max. So when you guys study, that's kind of how you study math. Yeah, I asked you this question, but what if I asked you a question that it was flipped? You might have to know that. You might have to know it's a max instead of a min. That's why I don't give you the same exact questions, but they're very similar. Okay? We're almost done. We got one more page for this chapter, and then you guys have time. Yep.
Dude, take your popcorn back.
It's okay. We'll toss it in a second. Don't worry about it.
Oh, can I have a piece of gum?
We're good? Okay. Now, here is something, like I said, this one cannot be any more similar to the one on the exam. I try to make it at least somewhat relatable here. The graph below represents the number of retweets a day of a funny tweet that maybe Tommy sent out that he thinks he's funny, but he's not. Just
Yeah,
kidding.
I got a story for you at the end of class,
Okay,
actually.
all right.
It's pretty funny. It's about McDonald's.
That was just completely random, but yes. Okay, so a funny retweet that maybe Tommy sent out. Describe what the vertex is in terms of the situation. So first of all, what I do when I take tests is I look and see what is the question asking. Max or min? Is it a max or a min?
Max.
A max. So goodbye C and D because it's not a min. So something to kind of make a note that I cross these out because of the min.
It's A.
We'll talk about it. Now, you just gave yourself a 50-50 shot. On the exam, I only have 3 choices. So really, you have a 1 out of 3 shot every time. 33% chance. So, right here, I have 5 is my days because that's what the graph is telling me when I read it. Hold on. There. Here, my Y value is 25 retweets. Why is it doing that? So it's nice to label it just so that you remember where we're getting this information. When you look here, this is your X value. This is your Y. And that's why A is the correct answer. Because the max number is 25 on day 5. Okay, so 25 retweets is the most that Tommy gets because he doesn't got a lot of friends.
Wow.
And it was on the 5th day. I'm just messing with you because I know I can. Questions on that one? It's a good song. Okay. Interval of increase and decrease is where we tend to struggle for some reason, but I don't want it to be that case. Yeah.
Oh, I'm good.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So, pause. First, yes, I gave you this function, and I will give you the graph. What is the vertex of this point, of this graph?
Negative.
-3, comma, what? What's the vertex?
1, -1.
-1, very good. Okay, that's going to help us tremendously when it comes to these problems. Now, when you're talking about an interval of increase and decrease, are you talking about the x or the y values?
Y.
Careful.
X.
It's going to be your x, and I'm going to put a little star here and make sure that you remember that. I don't know why this keeps unsyncing, so I'm sorry. The x values. My pen keeps like going out. Now, why is it the x value? Because it's asking you, where is my function decreasing? Whenever you're talking about location, where is it on the graph?
Negative.
It's always your x value. So what were you going to say, Jake?
I was gonna say negative infinity, -1. Like it's.
I totally would agree with you if I asked for increase. But what did I ask for?
Oh, decrease. So,
Decrease. So
-1 and negative infinity.
now remember, what's the x value? -3. So this is where a lot of people tend to struggle. So let's put these infinity signs down and I'll explain it. When you're looking for interval of increase and decrease, it's always your x value. And x is -3 here. So write that down. And it goes right all the way to positive infinity. It's your x values. Where on the graph is it located? This function will keep going, right. You just can't see that. It will continue to go right and right and right forever. So my final answer is -3 to positive infinity. It's always your x values. Always. So I'm going to put like -3 to positive infinity. It continues on forever. You're starting kind of like at that asymptote we kind of talked about way back in chapter 9.
Wait, isn't it supposed to be -3 negative infinity? Because it's going down.
It's going down, but what's the x value? It's going right. So I'm going to actually put this too. It's left to right. It's not bottom to top. I totally get what you mean. If you were to say, you know, where is the end behavior, which we'll get to, it is going down to negative. But I'm asking you where. Whenever you think where, think left to right. Okay, that's probably one of the most difficult topics for many students. So if you struggle with that, it's okay. Just keep practicing with it. Okay, which of the functions could represent the graph below? There are 2 questions like this on the exam. So make sure you're really focusing because this could be a challenging question. Because here's what might happen on the exam. Maybe you get 1 of them. But what if there's 2? Then you're wrong. There's no partial credit on the exam. So make sure you're really focusing. So when I look at this graph, take a look at what the choices are. Here they are. And I'm going to kind of write them out for you. These 2 are your x-intercept form. These 2 are my vertex. That's what they're describing. So I always look before I even try to answer my question what the choices are. So I know that only one of the x-intercepts is going to be correct, if anything. So I have, what's my first r value? What is this? Yeah, -2. What's my other one? 4. Now, one of the biggest mistakes, and I say it all the time, I think I said it earlier too. Remember, it's x minus r1, x minus r2. So which one is it?
5.
I, very good. It's always the opposite. Look, if I take -2 and I plug it in, it gets me +2. If I take 4 and I plug it in, it's -4. So I is my answer for that part. I know this one's gone. It doesn't work out. Now let's look at the next one. Let's look at my vertex. What is the vertex of this graph?
6 or 5.
Careful, I move over to the right one, so that's 1 comma something. -9. Now below this, I'm going to actually write out the vertex formula just so that you have it to study off of. All this is just studying with me. It's not like you haven't learned this before. I know it might have been a while. Chapter 4 is probably the hardest chapter of all of them, in my opinion. Even though you learned it last year. But x minus h all squared plus k. That's my vertex formula. So look, when I take 1 and I plug it in, it's a minus 1. You see that? If I take 1 and I plug it in, it's a minus 1. So which one is it?
Oh,
1, 2, 3, or 4? 3. Okay, because look, I take 1 and I plug it into the vertex formula. It's out. Now, if you forget this on the exam, there's an alternate route. All of these all have an alternate route. So this one was A. Plug it in your calculator, yes. If you plugged every one of these in, you can see if it looks like this. This one you're going to notice is over here, because technically it's left 1. This one you're going to notice that the roots are switched. If you actually understand that you can do that with your calculator, please do it. You have so much time. You have a long time for finals and you only have 34 questions. You can go ahead and type this in. Oh, it did look like that. Cool, circle it. Type this in. No, it's different. Cross it out. Use your test-taking skills, please. Okay? And that's it for Chapter 4. We'll do Chapter 5 tomorrow. We're taking it day by day. Now, you have a very long time. 10.
15, 20, 25.
You have 18 minutes. Now, you are not packing up. You're doing math in here. Okay, 25. For it to be imaginary, and if you look at my key, I put like a lot of details on there for you to understand why. Imaginary numbers don't exist. You can't see them crossing the x-axis. So which one can't you see crossing? A. So highlight that. Make sure you understand. There's there's 2 questions like that on the exam. It's imaginary. It does not cross. Now, looking at 26. No, I want to look at a different one that's like that. 25. 25, it didn't cross the x-axis for A, and that's why it's A, because of imaginary. So remember, imaginary means it does not cross. Let me write that down. Does not cross the x-axis is what that means. Is that the only one? This one. Number 17. Go to that one, please. Because that one's very similar. Look at your choices. It says 2 imaginary. Does it never cross here?
No.
No, so it can't be A. Now look. Ask yourself, how many times does it cross? 1 and 2. So what is the answer?
C.
Hold on. It is C. I just can't get it to work on my thing. It is 2. Right here, C. Because look, it crosses 1 and 2 times. Okay. Remember, your zeros are what crosses. Why won't it work? There we go. It's where it crosses. What's wrong?
No, I just finished with 17. What's next? 25? Oh.
Take your time. Put your bins back, please.
Take your time.
The
Oh, we
all
already
one
did
and all
this.
two.